Hey everyone, before we start the show, I just want to get some plugs out of the way. If you enjoy this podcast and you're into wrestling, check out the Nerds and Marks podcast or Marty and Sarah Love Wrestling. If you're not getting your fill on movie and entertainment discussion, then check out the Entertainment Buffet podcast. If you want to dive into the world of video games, I highly recommend the Darkcast by my friends over at darkstation.com. Listen to them cover important topics and interview men and women from all over the industry. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Hello everyone and welcome to Shelved. Okay, so on the Monday episode, I said that today we were going to be talking about Halloween 3D. Well, we ran into a bit of a problem. My guest for this episode ended up getting very sick, sore throat in particular, so doing a podcast was going to be pretty hard for him. So unfortunately, we are going to have to push that episode back, but don't worry, we are absolutely going to talk about Halloween 3D. It was an interesting script to read. I was a fan of the first Rob Zombie Halloween movies, and seeing where the third one would have gone after the less than well-received second movie, it's a really interesting story. So I needed something to, fill this week's episode because I am not going to miss a week no matter what. So I thought I would take this time to kind of help, let you learn more about myself. Because I've been doing this podcast for a little while now, and I haven't really dived too much into my own personal likes, personal tastes. There hasn't been enough me, to let you know, hey, why should I even care to listen to this guy? So I thought just for this episode, we would sit down and talk about my top 10 favorite movies. But I also didn't want to just be, talking to myself like I do in these intros. So I got my wife, Amanda, to come back, and we both sit around and talk about our top 10 movies. Now this was like an emergency last-minute recording, so it was recorded very late at night, last night actually, as this goes up, after I got off, a long shift from work. So, we're a little tired in the recording, but, I just don't want to, leave you guys hanging with an episode. To me, consistency is very important, and no matter what, even if my guest is unable to make it for medical reasons or whatever reason, I still want to put out an episode for you guys. I was hoping to have more episodes banked just in case this happened, but we went through a really busy time at work, and coordinating recording times just didn't make it feasible for me to have the episodes I needed. But I still think this is a fun episode. It's something I haven't really covered yet. I definitely have mentioned some movies that I like, but haven't told you, here are my favorite movies. And it was actually really fun to do with Amanda as well, because, we're married, we obviously know each other. But if you asked me to name her top 10 movies, I could name her favorite movie. I know it'd be between one or two. But I couldn't tell you, 9 other movies that she would put up there as, her desert island movies. And that's always kind of the way I look at this is, what movies, if you're trapped on a desert island, what 10 movies would you want with you? So I had already put together my list, so I asked her to put together a list last night as I was driving home. And then, we just sat in the bed and recorded this episode, and I think it's a lot of fun, and it's very informative on both of us. I know she's been on the podcast only a little bit here, but I try to get her on as much as possible, so as much as it's getting to know me, I think it's fun to get to know her as well for everybody. But, this is going to be me and my wife's top 10 movies of all time. And I promise you we will have Halloween in the coming weeks. I can give you a little spoiler. I already have the next script planned out as well, which is Castlevania, based on the hit video game franchise. And I'm really looking forward to reading that one, because that's one I've known about for years and always wanted to see happen, and just kind of stumbled on the script recently, and I'm so excited to read it, even though I know the caliber involved does not bode well, especially given the fact that it never got made. But so look for that one in the coming weeks. I also ran a poll on Twitter asking you guys what the next script you'd want us to cover is, and I gave you 3 options: Speed Racer, Batman versus Superman is a script from, I think, 2002. And what was the third one? Alien versus Predator: The Hunt, which was an Alien versus Predator script written long before the Alien versus Predator movie that we got. And I have a feeling that it's based heavily off the comic and probably just follows the comic book storyline. I have no idea. I haven't read it, but that seems to be what it is. I know there was a lawsuit after the actual Alien vs. Predator movie came out saying that he stole his idea for the movie and everything, but I don't know much about that. Maybe I can find out more when we do that episode. But yeah, so actually that's not the episode we're going to do because everybody voted for Batman versus Superman. And not everybody, actually. It was pretty close between Alien versus Predator and Batman v Superman. Speed Racer did not get as many votes as I thought it would. I don't know how people feel about Speed Racer. I love the Wachowski Speed Racer movie. I legitimately think it is great. I've never seen a movie like it, and isn't that what we look for in movies, is something unique and original? I think that movie's a lot of fun. I saw it in theaters. I loved it. I continue to love it to this day. I think it's a highly underrated movie. But yeah, the Speed Racer script written by J.J. Abrams, I thought it would get more attention, but that's definitely one we will do in the future. But everyone voted for Batman versus Superman. And I plan on doing more polls like this in the future. So if you want to be involved, you can follow me on Twitter at Shelved Podcast. And maybe if you have a script that is lying around, you don't know if I have it and you want to send it my way, or if you want to send us questions or comments or anything that we read on the Monday mini episodes, you can email them to our email at shelvedfilmpodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to find the scripts that we've already talked about or anything, you can find our Tumblr at shelvedfilmpodcast.tumblr.com. So yeah, we're just going to jump into today's episode then. This is our top 10 movies. I really hope you guys enjoy. Okay. Do you have your list ready?
I do.
Okay. So I figured did you narrow it down to 10, right?
Yeah.
So no honorable mentions?
Nope.
Okay. So I figure we'll just start from the bottom and go back and forth. So
Start from the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we leave the number 1 up to the mystery. Okay. And then so we'll each do our number. Like I'll do 10, then you do 10, then I'll do 9, you do 9.
Okay.
So who wants to go first?
You can go first.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my number 10 is The Crow, which is a movie I know you've never seen.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
But I think you should watch it. I honestly, I know you've heard me talk a lot about it over the years, but I think it's one you should actually sit down and watch with me one time. Because it is kind of a love story. Like, it's an action movie, but
yeah,
it's more of a love story. And it's really dark and really interesting.
Yeah, I feel like I should see it.
Yeah, a little louder. Yeah, no, I mean, it's based on a comic book, but you would never even know it's based on a comic book, and it's just really fucking good.
I just feel like it's like a classic. I've heard and I've seen it like everywhere.
Yeah.
I should see it.
You should, and I have it. I have it on Blu-ray, so we should watch that. So what's your number 10?
Date Night.
Date Night. Okay. I have not seen Date Night.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
That's Steve Carell and Tina Fey.
Yeah, and it takes a lot for me to, I don't know, find a movie funny. Because I can find like little bits of a movie funny, but this movie, I was like cracking up pretty much from start to end.
I always heard it was really funny.
Hilarious.
And, like, I think Channing Tatum has like a funny cameo in it. I always hear he's like a drug dealer or something. Maybe
I haven't seen it in a while, and we don't own it.
Yeah, we should just own that. It's got to be super cheap.
We don't own like a good chunk of my list.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I own everything on my list. Yeah, I do. Well, we're gonna have to correct that. Well, I think I saw your list, so I think we have the same number 9, and my number 9 is The Silver Linings Playbook.
Yes.
Okay, so we bought this movie. I don't know if we saw it first or if we just bought it. But I remember
I think we saw it first.
Yeah. So there was a time where we went over to my friend Joe's house. So we watched it at my house.
Yes.
And then that night we went over to Joe and Ariel's house, and we're like, we brought that movie and we watched it again. And then the next day we watched it again.
Did we?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
And I just thought, like, I just watched this movie 3 times within 24 hours, and I could still totally watch it again.
It's so powerful.
It is, and it's so well
good.
acted.
Yes.
Like, the fact that she won an Oscar
well
for it.
written, well acted, well produced.
And
I thought the way the movie looked was really good.
Yeah. David O. Russell, he's a great director. He's done a lot of good movies. It's the movie that sold me on Bradley Cooper. Now he's kind of become...
He did a really... Like
the scene where he's reading the book,
good.
and he's just like, what the fuck? And then he's yelling at his parents.
The chemistry between him and Jennifer.
Yeah. And him and Robert De Niro as his dad.
Yeah,
like,
oh my
the
gosh.
scene where Robert De Niro cries and stuff, like, that scene gets me
yes.
every time.
I know.
It's such a good movie.
So good.
Okay, so we'll move on to 8, which my number 8 is The Wrestler.
Oh, I love that movie.
Which this is one of those times where, like,
I really like that movie.
Yeah, it was one of those times where, like, oh, we're gonna do a movie night every week, and it only lasted 1 week.
Always.
And that was the first movie we watched, and it was pretty new to me at the time. Like,
I was hooked.
I knew about the movie for a long time, but I hadn't seen it. It came out in 2008, and I saw it for the first time a few years ago when we watched it, and it's just so fucking good.
It is really good.
It's the same director who did Black Swan, so he's really good at kind of like dark, depressing movies. But yeah, Mickey Rourke, it's the movie that like brought his career back. And I really love the relationship between like him and his daughter.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I guess kind of failed relationship.
But I mean, that's what I liked about it. It was so real.
Yeah, and
Like,
Marissa
I like
Tomei.
movies like that.
And Marissa Tomei is always amazing. And she was really good as like his stripper girlfriend. But yeah, I mean, I love wrestling, and The Wrestler it's a really good portrayal of kind of the darker side of wrestling. And I'd love to see somebody make one from like a different perspective. Like, there's like a couple wrestling comedy movies out there, but there's no like wrestling success story movies out there. I'd like to see somebody come at it from that angle, but The Wrestler is definitely one of my favorite movies.
I really liked it.
Yeah. So what do you got for number 8?
The Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, that's so good. I didn't even
So
think about
good.
that one.
A bit long.
Yeah, it's like 3
but
hours.
So good.
I mean, he's notorious for every movie he makes is like 3 hours, but every movie is longer than the last one. Because he did the Departed, which is also a 3-hour movie, but it's an amazing movie, and it took me so long to watch it just because I knew it was so long. And it was kind of
for me. I realized that it was long, like after like I've seen it a couple times because it was so good. I was so drawn in that I didn't even realize that it was that long.
Yeah, and Leonardo DiCaprio is one of my favorite actors.
Oh my gosh.
And he's just so fucking good in that movie.
Blew it like out of the water.
I can't believe he didn't win the Oscar for that movie.
Yes.
I can't remember who won, but he won for The Revenant, and The Revenant was super great, and he was really good in it. But the fact that he didn't win for Wolf of Wall Street blew me away. Oh shit! I totally didn't have my number 7 ready. But and then what's her name? Margot Robbie. That was like her introduction, right?
Yeah, it was.
She's so good.
She was hot.
Yeah, definitely. She's what, Australian?
Oh, I don't know.
I think she is.
I don't know what she is.
I'm pretty sure she's Australian. It's just something about Australians. They're just extremely pretty. My number 7, and I think it's the only comic book, big comic book movie on my list, but it's Spider-Man 2. The original Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2, because I know now there's Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's obviously my favorite superhero. And Spider-Man 2 was, in my opinion, I know a lot of people would say The Dark Knight, which to me, it was either going to be Spider-Man 2 or The Dark Knight. And I went Spider-Man 2 because I just love Spider-Man more than Batman. But it's always like right there with those two movies. But Spider-Man 2, I saw it in the theaters, and it's just one of those experiences where, I don't know if you've seen the movie, but there's like a scene where he has to stop a runaway train. And he's like on the front of the train, and he's just trying all these different ways to stop it. Mm-hmm. And when he finally does, it's just such a powerful moment. And like he loses his mask during the scene, and like everybody in the train carries him in, and he just saved their lives. And they're all like not going to say who his identity is and anything. And it's just such a good movie. Like some of the best action scenes, and
really cool.
It's honestly, it could have been higher on my list, but I love Spider-Man 2 so goddamn much. But what's your number 7?
Step Up.
Step Up, really?
Yeah.
That was one of the, I don't know if you remember, that was one of the first movies we saw on a date. I think it might have been the first movie we saw.
Maybe.
Because we saw it in theaters and you cried because you're a girl.
Yeah. I was a dancer in high school and I just love dancing movies.
And that was like Channing Tatum's first movie, right?
Oh, I don't know.
One
I
of.
have no idea.
First movie I saw him
He
in.
met his wife.
Oh, yeah, they are married.
Jenna Dewan, yeah.
She was pretty.
Yeah.
It's actually not a bad movie. Like, that's a totally a movie that could be written off as like, oh, it's just a chick flick.
Yeah.
But I enjoy Step Up. I didn't see any of the other ones, but
You peeping my list?
Kinda. Yeah, no, Step Up, it's totally fine.
Yeah, I like it.
My number 6 is another movie we saw in theaters that I'm sure you don't even remember at all, but is Tron Legacy.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's one of the only movies me and you saw in 3D.
You loved that movie.
I love that movie. And it's not
Did
like...
we see that in 3D?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was like your first time seeing like the new kind of 3D.
I thought it was really cool too. I mean, I wasn't like
Yeah, there was
obsessed,
multiple
but
times where you're like, whoa. Like,
yeah, it was really cool.
because that was one of like when 3D kind of became big again because of Avatar. There were a lot of movies doing the cliche stuff of like, oh, let's like throw stuff at the screen and blah blah blah. And the thing about Tron is it was really subtle with the 3D.
It just seemed like they had fun making it.
Yeah.
So it was just fun watching
For
it.
one, it's one of the best looking movies I've ever seen. The
Yeah, it
design
was
of the
really
world,
cool.
the design of the world and like the suits and everything, it's
Yeah.
incredible. The soundtrack is one of the best. Like I still play it in my car to this day. It's one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard.
I wouldn't even mind watching that again.
It's incredible. I love that movie.
Yeah.
And the idea of like, oh, are they going to do a third one has been kind of up in the air forever. And like because of all these comic book movies and Star Wars, because it's a Disney movie, Disney's kind of put it on hold. And I would give my left leg for a new Tron movie. But for now, Tron Legacy. I love it.
Yeah, it was good.
So what was this, number 6 for you?
Yeah.
What you got?
Shawshank Redemption.
It's an amazing.
I love it.
I always say there's an argument to be made that Shawshank Redemption is the best movie ever made.
How can you say that so fast? I just say it like really slow.
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank.
Because it's a movie we talk about at work all the time. It's Frank's. For one, it's on TV
like
constantly.
Shawshank Redemption, like really slow. Yeah, amazing.
It's
amazing.
It's so good. Morgan
I love
Freeman, Tim Robbins, I think is the main guy.
The main guy
Plays
okay.
Andy. Yeah, it's amazing. It's a Stephen
So
King movie.
good.
I didn't know that for a really long time.
So good.
I mean, it's classic. And yeah, it's one of the I always say the argument is you could argue for Shawshank being the greatest movie ever made and I would buy into it. It's incredible.
So good. Oh my gosh.
You could throw it on at any time and just watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think so this is the newest movie on my list, going to my number 5, and that's Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, you love that movie.
Again, the sound
And I'm surprised I haven't even like seen it.
the thing that makes this movie so amazing,
Especially not your number one.
it honestly should be, because I will say it's the best movie that's been made in like 10 years. And here's the thing. The reason Mad Max is so good is, for one, they create an incredible world and they tell you so much, but the movie says so little. There's so little dialogue in the movie. It's essentially a 2-hour car chase, but in that car chase they tell you about the world. And for one, we're in it's 2017. Every time we go to the theater, we're seeing all these movies that are just crazy amounts of CGI effects and just like you're basically looking at a bunch of actors on a green screen.
Yeah.
In this movie, they did everything for real. Every car they blew up was real. Like they did a stunt where they had a head-on collision with 2 vehicles, and the stuntman who did it, his very first movie he ever worked on was the original Mad Max back in the 70s. And the very last movie he worked on was Mad Max Fury Road. And his last stunt was he was driving the semi and like head on into another vehicle. And it's just like you watch the movie and you just don't see movies that look like this anymore, because the fact that they're doing everything for real makes it stand out so much. Like it came out this
it's easier to appreciate work
it's
like that.
And like the editing is very special, and I guess he had his wife edit it, because Mad Max is kind of like a male driven action movie, but he wanted a woman's touch to it, so he had his wife edit the movie.
That's cool.
And it really shows in the editing. And it's the most uniquely edited movie I've ever seen. They do a lot of like speed ramping where like it's kind of like speeding up the frames of the picture just to give it this really weird and unique look.
Different, yeah.
And it's one of the best looking movies you've ever made. It's so colorful, which we live in a world where like post-apocalyptic movies are all super dark and gray.
Yeah.
And this is like, he wanted it as colorful as possible. But then he was so crazy that he also wanted a black and white version on the Blu-ray, which is also amazing.
But you
But
put black and white?
yeah, there's like a special Blu-ray edition called the Blood and Chrome edition where they have like an extra black and white version. So you can,
interesting.
and it's awesome. Like the movie, it just, because it's like a kind of Wild West feel to the movie, it totally works.
Oh,
And I guess they're talking about
that's
doing,
really interesting.
they're talking about doing it with the new Wolverine movie too, Logan, because it's kind of the same thing. It's like a Wild West feel. So they're saying on the Blu-ray it might come with a black and white version. But so there's my number 5. What is yours?
Fool's Rush In.
Again, another
It's
movie I've never
such-
seen.
I have loved it for years. And
Is this
with
the one?
Matthew Perry
Yeah,
and
Matthew
Salma
Perry.
Hayek.
Yeah,
And
which we own.
Yes, of course. I'm obsessed with that movie. Yeah, I got it years. I think I was a teenager when I got it. I've had it for so long.
I can't believe you never made me watch this.
You're not gonna like it.
Really?
Yeah,
you don't
it's
think so?
very much like a chick flick.
But like we've seen tons of chick flicks that I've liked.
Yeah.
I even like some that you didn't like. Definitely Maybe.
Oh yeah, no.
Which I don't think you hated. It just wasn't like anything
Yeah, it just
special for you.
wasn't-
But to
yeah.
me, that has the added benefit of Ryan Reynolds, and I kind of like everything he does.
Oh gosh, that reminds me of another movie I like.
Oh, I mean, I could definitely
The Proposal.
The Proposal.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
That was
yeah.
fun. I ended up liking The Proposal way more than I thought I would.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we should watch Fool's Rush In.
It's really good.
Isn't it like he gets her pregnant or something?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, we gotta have like a shotgun wedding or something.
Well, she didn't want to force him into a relationship. It was like when he found out she was pregnant, he was like, because he had like his own life,
Oh, okay.
and like they were kind of just a hookup.
Yeah,
They like met each other in the line for the bathroom.
we should watch that. I really like Matthew
was really
Perry,
good.
and I love Selma Hayek.
Yeah.
So
I think it was
yeah.
even pre-Friends. I think.
It might have been right at the beginning of Friends.
Oh, okay.
I don't know when that movie came out. Friends started
He
in
looks
late
so
90s?
so young in it, and well, so does she. But he looks like really really young.
Yeah, it's got to be a late 90s, early 2000s movie, so it's probably early Friends. Well, my number 4 is Aliens, which I know you've never seen.
Didn't you ask me about that recently?
Yeah, because it's the original. So this is the sequel. The original is called Alien, and then the second one is called Aliens. And the
Okay.
first one is kind of like a haunted house in space. It's like they go to a planet and they bring an alien onto their ship, and it's kind of like picking them off one by one. It's kind of like a slasher movie.
Okay.
And then the second one, it's like, ooh, well, how do we ramp it up, you know? And they basically just added an S on the title. And it's like, oh, well, now there's multiple. And it's kind of like a war movie, and it's like heavily inspired by like Vietnam and stuff like that. But it's James Cameron, the same director who did Terminator and Avatar
I was gonna say,
and a bunch of
okay.
other, you know, he's one of the greatest directors of all time. Titanic. But it's such an amazing movie, and it takes what the first one did and just turns it into one of the best action movies ever made. And it is more of an action movie. The first one's like a horror movie, and the second one is just way more of an action movie, but still kind of mixed with the horror. And the Aliens franchise, it's like one of the best monster designs I've ever seen, and I love that series so much, and it's the best one out of the series. And there's a new one coming out in May that I so can't wait to see. But what's your number 4?
Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing.
I'm
Again,
obsessed. I'm obsessed.
I don't know how I've
love
made it this far. I've never seen all of Dirty Dancing. I've seen parts of it. I think we were driving like
So
a
good.
couple weeks ago, and I was like, what's the story to Dirty Dancing? Because I honestly didn't know.
Good. I love it so much.
What's that actress's name?
Grey? Jennifer Grey.
Jennifer Grey. Yeah, I can't believe that her nose job like ruined her career because she was so good. Like she's good in Dirty
I
Dancing.
literally don't know anything else that she was in.
She was in Dirty Dancing. She was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. She played his sister.
Oh my gosh!
And
yeah,
she
that
was
her.
in a movie called Red Dawn, which is like a classic 80s movie. It's like a war movie, but
Oh
it's
my
like
gosh.
Russia invades the US. and like
I
a bunch.
didn't even think that she was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah. She plays his sister, and she makes out with Charlie Sheen in that movie. Yeah, she was. Yeah, the whole thing about she got a nose job and that like tanked her career. It's
Yeah,
such
but then
bullshit.
she won. Was it that dancing show?
Oh yeah, she didn't she?
Yeah.
Did she win or was
Yeah.
she just on it?
No, she won it.
That's awesome.
She got the mirror ball.
That's so good. Yeah, man. There's a lot more on your list that I have not seen. I thought I would have seen all of them. But moving on to my number 3, which is a movie I know you know but have not seen all of, is Fight Club.
Yeah, that actually looks really, really good.
So you like every other movie by this director that you've seen, and the director is David Fincher.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, he did Gone Girl. He did Panic Room.
Why is Gone Girl not on my list?
I know. Gone Girl was in my honorable
I
mentions.
literally could not. Couldn't really think.
Well, I think we can both honorable mention Gone Girl. We both love that movie.
Love that movie.
He did The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Love that movie
Yeah.
too.
He did Alien 3, which going back
It's
to
amazing. I
mine.
didn't think I really liked movies that much.
Yeah, I think Fight Club is. I mean, you know the twist of the movie, which is kind of disappointing, but his directing style is one of it's. He just makes a movie look so good.
It draws you in.
Yeah.
I love that.
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. That was another one.
Yes.
He did. Yeah, he makes amazing movies.
That
And
was
he
a
makes
good movie,
amazing
too.
looking movies. He's did House of Cards. He's the executive producer on that, and that show very much looks like a David Fincher movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fight Club. I read the book 6 times in like 2 days, like in high school. It's one of my favorite books. It's one of my favorite movies. Brad Pitt and Edward Norton are both incredible in the movie.
Yeah.
The music is a big part of like why I like that movie. I listen to the soundtrack quite a bit, but that's one of those ones I've been trying to get you to watch for years. And
What, Fight Club?
yeah, we watched like
Yeah, we
half of
started
it.
it.
We watched half of it like a long time ago, like the first 2 years in our relationship.
We should definitely watch it.
We should. I think you would like it because you
Because
like
I liked it. I liked what I saw.
Yeah, it's right
I
up
don't
your
know why.
alley.
I don't remember why we stopped.
It's a
watching it,
really weird, messed up movie.
But I love that.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna have a lot of
I
movies
like
to watch
weird,
here.
messed up things.
Yeah, definitely. So what's your number 3?
Catch Me If You Can.
So good.
Oh my gosh. It keeps you drawn in the whole time. He's hilarious, super smart. Just the way it was filmed. Ugh, so good.
I think that was the movie that finally sold me on Leonardo DiCaprio. Because early in his career, it's like, oh, he's just that heartthrob guy.
I also like Tom Hanks in it.
Oh,
I'm
Tom
not-
Hanks is. I mean,
I'm
he's
not really
amazing
a
in
fan
everything.
of Tom Hanks,
What?
but yeah, I don't know.
Forrest Gump?
Well, I kind of.
Big? Have you seen Big?
Yeah.
I love Big. Tom Hanks is amazing in everything.
He's okay.
Oh my god. Leonardo DiCaprio is like probably my favorite actor
Awesome.
working in the business today.
Yeah.
Yeah, Catch Me If You Can. It's just Steven Spielberg, so it's obviously well
Yeah.
directed. Excuse me. But yeah, that was because for a long time Leonardo DiCaprio was kind of just like, oh, he's that heartthrob
Like
guy.
it just suspenseful. It was funny. It was
It's based on a true
sad.
story.
Yeah, that too, and that always gets me.
Yeah,
I like those kind of
Frank
movies.
Abagnale Jr. was his name,
Yeah.
and now he ended up like working for the government
Abagnale.
afterwards, like kind of like
Yeah.
catching people doing what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a good movie.
So good.
So my number 2 is the only James Bond movie on my list, and is Casino Royale, the first Daniel Craig James Bond movie. In my definition, it is a perfect movie. It is. It has everything you want: action, humor. It's sexy because it's James Bond. It's got to be sexy.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig is, in my opinion, the epitome of an actor playing James Bond. He totally fits the part from like the books and everything. Eva Green is a great actress, and her playing Vesper, the Bond girl, the one that like he falls in love with and kind of defines his character. It's a perfect movie. Like, and it's almost like 2 movies. Like halfway through, it's like, oh, we've kind of solved the mission, and then it's like, oh, we have the continuation of the mission. Now we gotta go play poker and stop this guy. And I forced you to watch this like last year.
Yeah.
I think, and
It
you
wasn't bad. Yeah.
No, it's a little long. Like at the time,
Yeah.
I think when it came out, it was the longest Bond movie, and now the most recent one is the longest one.
Mm-hmm.
But like every time I watch it, it just moves quicker and quicker, and just like right from the opening scene, because like all Bond movies kind of follow a trend of like, oh, you do a cold open that's kind of unrelated to the movie, and then you have the theme song, and then you get into the movie.
In black and white?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it shows how. So like, I know you did. It was funny because you don't really know a lot about James Bond. So as we were watching it, you're kind of like, what is he doing? Like you didn't know he was a secret agent, basically.
I didn't.
And
Yeah.
so he's like, they call him like 00 agents. So he's 007. And then the beginning of the movie, it shows him getting his 00 rank because he's like talking to a guy in an office, and he's like, oh, well, to get a 00 rank, you have to have 2 kills. And so
yeah.
they're telling the story of how he got his first kill, which was killing that guy's like informant, because I guess he was like taking money under the table basically. And then he kills that guy in the office for his second kill to get his 00 rank. And it's such an amazing opening. And like all the Bond movies open with like a gun barrel sequence where it's like the James Bond theme plays as he walks across the screen, he turns and shoots the camera and the blood comes down. And they kind of worked it in to the story of the movie in like such an original way, and it just like explodes into the theme song that it's
Yeah.
just so hyped right from the beginning.
Yeah, I remember that movie being pretty good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Again, I would say it's a perfect movie. But what's your number 2?
Aaron Brockovich.
Aaron, so
I finally own it.
this is like has been our white whale forever. Like every time we go to a store, we look for it, and then I bought it on Amazon and somehow got an Italian version,
Yeah.
and then I had to return that and get the
So
original
close.
Blu-ray.
It's so far.
And yeah, you finally got it, and you rewatched it recently, and
Yeah.
it holds up apparently.
Yes, I love it so much.
I only saw part of it with you. For one, I totally forgot who it was directed by, which now I can't remember. I want to say it might be Martin Scorsese, who's an amazing director.
I can't remember.
It's between him and somebody else, and I'm not going to fact check it right now, but he's a really good director. I know that. And I kind of want to watch it again with you because I only saw a little bit of it when you were watching it, and I was really
Yeah.
liking it.
It's so good. It's so interesting. I don't know.
And again, based on a true story.
Yeah, that always helps.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're definitely like when you watch movies, it's more like, oh, like you're interested in things that could actually happen.
Yes.
Like a horror movie wouldn't scare you if it's like a monster, but when it's like a serial killer, that's
Yeah, exactly.
Like The Girl on the Train was a movie you really liked because like, hey, that could happen.
Right.
And yeah, Aaron Brockovich did happen.
Yeah. And I like Julia Roberts a lot.
Yeah, that was something I learned about you. You're a huge Julia Roberts fan.
Yep.
I don't hate her. I like it's like she's good, but I don't like love Julia Roberts, I think Aaron Brockovich is one of the only movies that she's in that I'm like, yeah, she's like really good. Well, actually, I know what your number 1 is because I always know it's between these two movies. But yeah, well, I guess we'll get to that. Do you have anything else to say about Pretty Woman or fuck?
You just ruined it.
About Aaron
The
Brockovich?
suspense is killed.
About Aaron Brockovich is what I said.
I don't know. I just really liked it. Oh, there was Law in it, and I always liked that.
Yeah, as somebody
always
who's
like
watched
that.
every episode of Law and Order SVU, you're a big fan of that.
Well, that and just like I'm really drawn into movies that have like law into it. I always find that interesting.
We were watching My Cousin Vinny at work the other day.
Oh my gosh, that's a great movie too.
Yes, it is. Marissa Tomei won an Oscar for that movie. Who wins an Oscar for a comedy movie? I don't think that's ever happened
Someone
before.
very
And that was her
good
first
at their
movie.
craft.
That was her first movie, or like one of her first. And I mean, she was amazing in it. But sorry. Do we just want to do your number 1 since I spoiled it?
Pretty Woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Pretty Woman. I love it so much.
I saw it for the first time with you, on our vacation where we got engaged.
Oh yeah.
I had seen parts of Pretty Woman, and
Oh my
there's
gosh,
like
I love it.
there was things I was aware of just because it's so big in like the movie world and like pop culture and stuff.
So good.
Like him slapping shut the necklace or whatever, and her laugh, and like just scenes from the movie I knew, but I saw it for the first time with you, and I liked it.
So good.
I didn't think I would. Like I was kind of going into it like, all right, this is a movie.
It's a classic for a
Yeah.
reason. It's so good. Has a great message.
I will say I don't remember a lot of it now, but I would totally watch it again. Like if you're like, hey, do you want to watch Pretty Woman? I'd be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I love it. And then Julia Roberts.
Yeah, Julia Roberts, Richard Gere, both really good in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, so I said before, Erin Brockovich was one of the only movies. She is very good in Pretty Woman. I would say like Erin Brockovich, Pretty Woman, and like Ocean's 11 are like 3 movies that I could point to, and she'd be like, yeah, she's really good in this. But honestly, I don't think I could name another Julia Roberts movie right now.
Eat, Pray, Love.
Did you see that?
No.
I didn't see it.
I kind of want to see it, but I mean, it was like so overhyped when it first came out.
People loved that movie.
Right. It was kind of everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, she did a lot of kind of like chick flicky stuff like Runaway Bride and My Best Friend's Wedding or something.
She did.
Yeah. Which I saw My Best Friend's Wedding. I remember that being all right for what it was.
But Eat, Pray, Love was huge.
What is that movie with the girl from Will and Grace and she hires like the male escort? We saw this before.
We did?
Yeah. Oh, fuck. It's like a romantic comedy. She's going to like a friend's wedding or sister's wedding or something. And she hires the male escort to be like her date because she doesn't want to look like a loser.
Yeah.
But then they like fall in love. And I'm pretty sure that male escort guy was the guy from Friends that like took over Rachel's job.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was actually. Yes.
Which then he was in Shameless.
Yes. Yeah, he was.
Oh, I can't remember the name of that movie. That was fun though. I like that movie.
That was a good movie.
Because I'm pretty sure. Don't you own that? Am I wrong in saying that?
No, I don't own it.
Oh, we must have rented it or something. All right, but I guess we can get to my number 1 here, so that we can get to bed. I would normally just say Star Wars and include them all, but I have to pick one, so I'm saying The Empire Strikes Back.
And I'm surprised. I thought Fight Club was gonna be number 1.
Star Wars will always be my number 1. I would say like Casino Royale and Empire Strikes Back are kind of interchangeable depending on which one I saw recently. But Star Wars is just such a huge part of my childhood and part of my life. Like, I watched them at my aunt's house for the first time, and then I got like the special edition VHSs for Christmas, and I wore out those tapes. Like, I had all the action figures, I played all the video games, I read all the books. Star Wars is just one of the like most important forms of entertainment in my life. And The Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie. And most Star Wars fans would agree. It's the dark middle chapter of the original trilogy. So it's like episode 5. It's amazing. The story is so good. I like that it ends on a downer. Like the good guys lose at the end of the movie. And it sets up for the last one where they come back and win and everything, but you just don't see that a lot in movies. Like nowadays, a little more. I think that was kind of like a post 9/11 thing where movies got a little more serious, a little more realistic. But you just didn't see that in like the late 70s, early 80s. It's like, yeah, here's a movie where the good guys got their ass kicked and the bad guys get away, and it's just such a well done movie. And it has some of the more classic moments from Star Wars, like the whole "I love you, I know" moment between Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher.
It has stormtroopers.
Of course,
I love them.
You're a big fan of the stormtroopers.
Love them.
It introduced one of the most popular Star Wars characters, the bounty hunter Boba Fett, who my buddy has a Lego version tattoo on his arm. Matt, you obviously know Matt, but it's incredible. I could watch it. I haven't watched it in a while. I would really like to. Especially with all the new Star Wars stuff coming out right now. But The Empire Strikes Back always has a place in my heart. And you've never seen it. You've seen exactly 2 Star Wars movies, and it was the 2 new ones, and that is hilarious. Like, you are so, and I can't remember which one it was, if it was Episode 7 or Rogue One, but we walked out of the theater, and you were just like, "You really like this stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah." One day I'll get you to watch the originals. It's so hard though. I know you're never gonna like them just because like at this point they're so old, and if you don't have that love for them, I don't know. But The Empire Strikes Back is a fucking fantastic movie. I'd find you even hard pressed to say it was terrible. I'm putting the challenge out there. You can give me that look all you want. But there's our top 10 movies.
Yeah. I mean, you just put Pretty Woman and Aaron Brockovich just anywhere. And
It's so interesting that your top 2 are Julia Roberts movies.
yeah. I love them.
Yeah. I always know, like...
And Dirty Dancing's amazing.
Yes. I always know that those 2 movies are going to be towards your top. It's just a matter of which one is number one.
Pretty Woman's always number one.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I always feel like it's like one of those situations where it's like, oh, if you watch Aaron Brockovich recently, you might say Aaron Brockovich was number one.
No, Pretty Woman's always going to be my
I was
favorite.
surprised not to see Gone Girl on your list.
I cannot believe I forgot to put that on my list.
Yeah. Is that one you would add on?
Yes.
Like swap something else out?
No.
No. It would just be a solid number 11.
Maybe Step Up.
I mean, we've only seen it once. We haven't watched it again.
We should really watch Date Night though. It's so funny.
I would love to. We should buy it.
So funny.
Next time we're out shopping,
I've been
we should
looking,
look
but I
for it.
can ever find
Really?
the Blu-ray version of it.
Oh, I bet I could find it on Amazon for like super cheap. That's got to be like $10 or less. I love Steve Carell. I love Tina Fey. I'll watch anything with them.
It's hilarious. Well, Tina Fey is amazing too.
Yeah, I actually really like that Sisters movie.
Yeah, it was funny.
We watched it again at work. Somebody threw it on, and I thought it was even funnier the second time. Those two together.
Oh yeah, Amy Poehler's
Yeah.
funny, too.
And it had a lot of good like side characters from like Saturday Night Live and stuff like that. That was John Cena in that movie is like the drug dealer.
Yes, that was funny.
Yeah, that was really good. But all right, well, thank you for sitting with me
Yeah.
and saving my podcast for this week and talking about our top 10 movies.
Yeah, that's
I
fun.
love doing
I'm
lists.
surprised because I'm not a movie person. Like we did top 10 shows. Oh my gosh.
Well, maybe we'll do that next time.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I don't know if I have
love.
10.
I'm way more TV.
Yeah,
than
you
movie.
watch a lot of series.
I
I don't know if I have 10 TV shows. I
I'm
can
sure
name
you could-
5.
I'm sure you can name 10.
Yeah. I'd have to think about it. That OJ show might be on there now. That show is very good. But that's like a mini series.
Yeah, it's
I don't
like
know.
that.
But it is a show and it's good. But I mean, I know my number 1. That's all I need. But yeah, maybe we'll talk about that next time. But in the meantime, thank you for sitting here and talking our top 10
It was
favorite
fun.
movies.
I don't know
Yeah.
a lot about movies, but
Yeah, I like doing lists. We should do some more lists.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for recording with me, and everybody, thanks for listening.